life is about balance. You know, Milton talked about l'allegro and il penseroso. Horace talked about the city mouse and the country mouse. People are different, but most people are a blend. And look, students as they approach the choice of where they're going to attend college have to use it, it seems to me, as a way of getting to know themselves. So as my wife and I went through the choice of a college with our two children, the first thing we decided was this was not the time for us to speak. It was the time for us to help them use it as a process of understanding themselves. So there are fundamental choices to be made. Now, how would one end up coming down a pathway of choice to a school like NYU? I say to students that come through on the tours, and frequently the young ambassadors, the students that are showing people around, call me into the tours. And I look at a tour of 20 families and I say, you know, the chances that NYU is right for as many as 3 or 4 of the 20 of you are pretty low. We're probably right for fewer than 3 or 4 of you, because we are an eccentric version of what we are. We are very aggressive about what we are. Let me tell you what we are and show you the pathway that gets you to us. And then you've got to decide whether at this moment in your life you want to set the dial where we set the dial, because we are hyperstimulation. We are an aggressive encounter with the other. We are taking on complexity in a way that could be quite overwhelming. We are deliberately cacophonous, but challenge you to change the cacophony into a symphony. We're all those things, and for that to be right for a 17-year-old is a very, very aggressive proposition. So how would one move that? First question you should ask yourself: every student or parent that's advising a student on the choice of a college is, do I want to be going to college in a research university? Henry Rozovsky, the dean of Harvard for years, Jaroslav Pelikan, the dean of Yale, even I, in my humble way, have written on what the case is for going to a research university as opposed to one of America's great liberal arts colleges, like the Vassars and the Amhersts and the Williams and the Grinnells. What's the difference? Well, the difference is that at a research university, if the research university is operating correctly, you can actually be present at the creation of ideas. Yeah, I'll give you an example. A man named David Levering Lewis came to NYU 6 years ago. Now, David Levering Lewis is the only person who has won the Pulitzer Prize both for Volume 1 and Volume 2 of the same biography. Won it twice, Volume 1 and Volume 2, of his biography of Du Bois. He's the world's leading expert on Du Bois. So David comes, and he's going to be a university professor. And I'm very proud that at NYU, all of our university professors teach first semester seminars to freshmen. It's designed to give the freshmen a glimpse of idea creation right there at the beginning of their education. I've taught one of these myself for 20 years. So I say to David, I want you to teach one of these seminars. So he says, fine. Should I do it on Du Bois? I said, absolutely not. I said, you're finished thinking about Du Bois. You've just won 2 Pulitzers for Du Bois. What is a subject about which you'd like to begin thinking so that the freshmen can see you as you're beginning your thought process and working through your thought process over the years? He says, well, I'd like to think about the coming together of the 3 religions of Abraham in Spain in the 9th, 10th, and 11th century. I said, that's it. Teach a course on that. So for 5 years, he taught a freshman seminar on that subject. And out of that, his great book, God's Crucible, came, an 11-page review in the New Yorker, a favorable review in the New York Times. But those freshmen in the first semester of being at NYU saw that book being formed in his mind and worked with him doing it. That is a research university education. Now, there are some students for whom being in that class or the equivalent of that class in science or in any of the subjects, okay, is magical. There are others who are going to go through and take either plain vanilla courses or want a foundation in the great books or any number of other things that are perfectly legitimate. This is not a moral choice. It's a choice of individual appetite. So do you want to be in a research university or not? Do you want to be in a large research university or in a moderately sized one? Do you want to be in a city? How do you want to be in that city? Now, do you want to be in the city which is the world's first glocal city? How serious are you about taking on complexity? Now you're inside NYU. If you've answered all those questions affirmatively, you're now inside NYU. And now the question's not over with, because we have inside NYU 8 undergraduate colleges. So do you want a professionally tinged undergraduate education? Then you would go to the undergraduate business school or the undergraduate school of the arts or the undergraduate school of nursing or the undergraduate school of education. Or do you want a liberal arts education? Now let's assume that, like many, you want a liberal arts education. It's a great American invention. Well, we still have 3 different ways for you to do a liberal arts education. You want a college. The college liberal arts education is a classic research university education, rigorous, has these university seminars, you distribution over the range of courses followed by a major. Or do you want individualized study, the Gallatin School, okay, where you can carve up your own way to do the liberal arts and be completely eccentric about it, and there aren't any distribution requirements? Or do you want what we're calling a liberal studies undergraduate approach, which is like a great books approach? Now, all of this is a highly complex decision. I've given you kind of an NYU cut into it, but the basic thing you've chosen, if you've chosen NYU, is complexity and hyperstimulation. Now, what have you left behind? What you've left behind is the life of Il Penseroso, the contemplative time, and of course that's something you've left behind that you should leave behind consciously, and that you should take then steps to incorporate into your life. So I live this hyperstimulated life as the president of NYU, but I make sure that regularly I'm on the Colorado River in the Grand Canyon. 20 times I've been to the Colorado River. Okay, for the full 7 days, or minimum 14 days maximum, where time slows and you're in the presence of a geological clock of 2 billion years, and you feel simultaneously the wonder of God's creation and your insignificance on the one hand, and on the other hand, the tremendous magnificence of human love and the transcendence of the human spirit that stands and says, no, even in the face of 2 billion years of geology, I am significant and worthy. And that yin and yang comes there. So yes, we all need contemplative time. So if you're in the hyperstimulated world of NYU, where it would be very, very easy to get caught up in nothing but stimulation, you have to learn the skill of finding contemplation. Just as if you're in the more classic, small liberal arts college with all the contemplative time of which Il Penseroso dreamed, it's important every now and then to become l'allegro and to enjoy the dance and to enjoy the party and to come to the city.